Welcome to a brand new episode of Johnson's Court. Today, we're going to talk about the AFC and NFC Championship. Whose team is your team going to move on to the Super Bowl? Are we going to have a team that went to the Super Bowl last year and is going to make it back again? Or are we going to have obviously we're going to have a new Super Bowl champion because the Rams won it last year, but we'll just see who makes it there. So today, we have Reo Terry.
What's up, y'all?
So let me make sure I turn the volume all the way up so you guys can hear him. But last week, Beagle went 3-1. Beagle actually probably could have went 4-0 if he wouldn't have picked the Jags as a fun upset. So that's kind of crazy. He could have went 2 rounds undefeated. But Rio, you went 3-1. I went 3-1. Like I said, his loss was the Jags. Our loss was the Bills. Beagle's record is 9-1, and our record is 8-2. How are you feeling going into the AFC-NFC Championship round?
I feel good, man. I feel good. We're not picking just the top seeds necessarily. We're really giving some thought. We are picking some underdog picks. But man, did the Bills game surprise me? That really swept me up. I thought that we definitely had that one in the bag.
For sure, I did too, and especially it being a home for Buffalo, you think that they would be able to get it done. But they didn't, but that's okay. So it kind of leads me right into our next point. Which game shocked you the most? So it sounds like it was probably the Bills and Bengals game. So if you just kind of want to get a little bit more insight on that, or if it's a different game, let us hear it.
No, so for me, it was the Bills-Bengals game. If you look at it just from the scoreboard perspective, obviously it looks like the Bengals came in and definitely whooped up the Bills. And if you were watching the actual game, yeah, the Bills just didn't seem like they had the chip on their shoulder. Felt like the Bengals were like, this is playoffs, this is playoff football. Felt like they just had a little more experience. Felt like they've been there more, just at least during that game. And it was crazy weather. Both teams are used to crazy weather in the snow and being up north. So for me, that was the crazier game. And like I said, we definitely had the Bills winning. So I think this changes up, the rest of the playoffs.
Absolutely, it does for sure. Mine would probably be the Chiefs versus the Jags, just because the Jags only lost by 7 points. It was 27-20 game. Now, Patrick Mahomes did get hurt. I don't know if you were watching that game or not, Rio, but did you see the injury that he went down with?
Yeah, I wasn't watching that game, but I did. I've been, just looking up, and I seen that he got hurt, and it's just super sad, just because they've been like the favorites. I want to see him get healthy as soon as possible.
Yeah, so he went down with an ankle injury in the game. I'm not sure which quarter it was. I think it might have been the first quarter, second quarter. I know it was in the first half at least. And their backup quarterback came in, led them down, did a 92-yard or 98-yard drive, something like that, to score. So definitely to keep them, obviously that's, he didn't score a touchdown. This game, 20-20. So Patrick Mahomes, did go down with an injury, but I did see reports today that he doesn't have a walking boot on. He is feeling a little bit better, so that's good. That's a good sign to see. Now, Trevor Lawrence played well. Like I said, they did score 20 points, so they did give the Chiefs a run for the money. But then also I want to talk about the NFC, the Cowboys versus the 49ers. Wasn't really sure who was going to win this game, to be honest, because it was just kind of going back and forth. But Dak Prescott did have 2 interceptions that were game-changing. And, the Cowboys just didn't have very good time management as well. I don't know what's happened to Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know what the Cowboys have just – I know they have a really good offensive line. If you're going to have a good offensive line, you're going to run at least decently or pretty good. But Ezekiel Elliott just hasn't been someone to pick up in fantasy or just really been fun to watch. So 49ers were able to pull that out 19-12. Is there any comments you want to give about the Cowboys versus 49ers game?
Yeah, so I caught the 2 Sunday games. I was busy Saturday, but Sunday I was free. And so the Cowboys-49ers game, I had picked the 49ers, so I had a little bit of biasness. I guess you could say that I was cheering for the 49ers. I wanted to see them move on. However, I felt like they weren't. Like, the whole game, it was like, dang, I was a little scared. I felt like the Cowboys were just doing better. Both defenses were crazy good. It was like a stalemate. I think Robbie Gould went like 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 on field goals, San Francisco kicker. And so it was just crazy. And San Francisco just, they ended up just getting 2 interceptions, a little like later in the game from Dak, and I really feel like that was like the turning point of the game. Without those, I feel like the Cowboys might have won, but yeah, it was definitely a crazy game.
Absolutely, it was for sure. And that kind of leads me right into my next point. No quarterback, no rookie quarterback, has ever reached the Super Bowl. Now, we have had some QBs in the past, Joe Flacco, Ben Roethlisberger, to make it to the AFC Championship game, but never reached the Super Bowl. Rio, do you think Brock Purdy has what it takes to be the first one to make it to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he has what it takes. I think that he showed poise. I think that whereas Dak, you can tell that he was older, more of a veteran. He would make more dangerous shots, and that's why those 2 interceptions happened. Whereas Purdy, he's playing a little more like Drew Brees right now. He's dumping a lot to the running backs, the tight ends, the slant routes, the short routes. I think that he has what it takes. I think he was calm, composed. He's a lot more mobile than I thought he was, and I saw that in the game on Sunday.
Yeah, I like the way you said it, calm and composed. He didn't really make too many bad passes or anything like that. He's definitely has a very smart IQ from Iowa State. He's definitely someone who I didn't think would, if you told me at the start of the season, oh, the 49ers are starting with Brock Purdy, I'd be like, well, they're probably not making the Super Bowl. But, as Jimmy G got injured, Brock Purdy showed up, and just the streak that he's been on, I definitely believe that he also has what it takes to make the Super Bowl. And we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk, we're going to have 2 more talking points here, and then we're going to decide which games, who's going to the Super Bowl, and why we think that. And then obviously next week we'll give our Super Bowl picks. Hopefully Beagle can be on for that one. Now, the 49ers are playing their first road game of the playoffs. The wild card, they were at home. The divisional round, they were at home. Now they're going to travel to the Philadelphia Eagles. How much pressure does this have on Brock Purdy really being his true test? Because obviously they played the toughest defense that he's faced all year long. The toughest defense possibly in the league, the Cowboys defense. Traveling to the Eagles, who have a really good defense as well. Do you think that this is Brock Purdy's first real test or his second test?
I definitely think it's the second test. I mean, you said it best, man. I think the Cowboys and the 49ers, definitely 2 out of the top 3 defenses in the league. It was a showdown. I think that this gives him confidence to go against the Eagles. Their defense is nothing to scoff at, but I think that the Cowboys' defense is much better. I think that he's gonna get a break from the Eagles' defense, but the pressure is going to be more added because it's a bigger game. He's brand new into the league, so the pressure is going to be on. But I think he's going to have a little better of a matchup on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is his second test as well because he was able to, the 49ers definitely brought the rush. You saw it, obviously, as we were watching the game. I was watching the game, and this is just 2 top defense that he's going after. And we'll just see what he has on Sunday. This is the first game of the 2, so we'll just see what that offense is made of, and can the offensive line hold up that Eagles defense. Then the Bengals, this is their second road game in a row. So their first game, they were at home in the wild card versus the Bengals. Then they travel to Buffalo, win that one. And us, yes, it was a shocker, but maybe most people's minds it wasn't. I guess maybe that game could have been more 50-50 to a lot of people. And Joe Burrow is also undefeated against Patrick Mahomes. He is 3-0 against him, and that is counting the regular season and the playoffs. So my question for you, Rio, does Joe Burrow make this 4-0, and can he take them to the promised land? You don't have to give too much away since we're not talking about that game yet, but.
Right, I feel you. They were really impressive last game, their wide receiving core. Whereas I feel like the Chiefs have a better all-around, like they have a better line, they have a better defense. Patty Mahomes doesn't have as many actual receivers. Like, Patty Mahomes really favors Kelsey and then their 2 running backs. So they're definitely different styles. I think that I mean, we don't know, what Mahomes is, if he's going to be ready. So I think that Burrow does get it done. I'm going to go with the safe bet. No shame to is Chad Henne? Is he the backup for?
I think he is. I can't remember who it is, but that definitely sounds familiar.
Well, even if he comes in, it's going to be like a puzzle piece. Like he's going to have Travis Kelce, which is having a tight end is really good for like a backup QB because you don't have to throw it too far. I don't know, man. I just feel like that the Bengals. Yeah, I think he has what it takes.
I love that, and I think he has what it takes as well. I think this is a great rivalry that we have going on, especially Patty can definitely, depending on how healthy he is, they can definitely pull it out. Having Travis, Kelce, and everybody else on that team as well. So it's going to be a showdown for sure. And I think you said it last week, or maybe I was talking to somebody, but they were saying that the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship could be the best games of the round. It could even be better than the Super Bowl. And we'll just see what happens. But with that being said, we're going to talk about the NFC Championship first. At Sunday, both these games are being played on Sunday. This one's the first one at 3 o'clock. You've got the 49ers playing the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, this is the 49ers' first road game. The Eagles not squeaked by, but beat the Giants pretty easily, 38-7. So no really shocker there. But the 49ers, obviously this is their second test that they're going up against a really good team. And Hurts is back for the Eagles, and he's healthy, and they have a good defense. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you, Beagle picked the Eagles. Maybe a little biased there, but me personally, man, I think this is going to be a great NFC matchup. Obviously, it's the two best teams remaining in the NFC, but yes, this is the second test for Brock Purdy, but I think that the 49ers get it done. I'm going to go the 49ers because I would love to see a rookie QB make it to the Super Bowl. Nothing against the Eagles at all. There's no they suck, they're this, they're that. There really aren't any cons with them. I just have to pick one of the better teams, and the 49ers is what I'm going to go with. They both have electric offenses, and they both have really good defenses. So I definitely see this game being low scoring. And definitely see a lot of field goals being kicked here, at least two probably from each team. So in the end, I'm going 49ers. Beagle's going the Eagles. Reo, who do you got here? Who are you going to side with?
I think I'm siding with you this week, man. As crazy as the Eagles have been, as much as the favorites they've been all year, I think that the majority of people have had them at the number 1 seed in power rankings. I think that the 49ers, like you said, man, I think they're going to play the grind-out game, and I think they have a better grind-out game. I think that they can run the ball. They got 2 running backs that they can choose from, McCaffrey and Wilson Jr. Wilson Jr.
Yep.
But anyway, and then, Purdy, he steps in on third down if they don't get it done. That's typically their style. He doesn't really throw the ball until third down. And, the defense as well. That's another grind-out game. And you have Robbie Gold or Ruby Gold. Forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. But, he went 5 or 6 for 6 from field goals. I feel like they have the better grinded-out technique. Go ahead and give me the 49ers.
I love that. Like I said, either of these teams potentially could win the Super Bowl. So going to be a great game on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Then we go into the AFC. Now, this is an AFC showdown because this is the newest rivalry, obviously, versus Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. Man, it starts at 6:30, so it's the sun's setting. It's going down, or it should be down by then. And, is Patrick Mahomes, is his ankle going to be fully healthy? That is the big question that we're asking ourselves and everybody. But then, is Joe Burrow's offensive line going to be able to stop the Chiefs' defense? What's that going to look like? That was my biggest concern and why I picked the Bills to win that game last week. And, the Bengals proved me wrong. I'm going to save my pick and I'm going to go last. I'm going to go ahead and let you know that Beagle picked the Bengals over the Chiefs, so he's thinking that Patty can go 4-0. Do you think he can go 4-0, Rhea? Are you sticking with what you said earlier? Or does Patty, who is a veteran, kind of, resembles Tom Brady, being in the AFC on the Patriots and dominating for a little bit? Do you see the Chiefs pulling it out?
Even though they're probably my more favorite in the matchup, I would probably say I like Mahomes and Kelsey better than the Bengals crew. I feel like I'm going to go Bengals here. I feel like they just got what it takes. Besides that offensive line, I feel like a little more of a complete team, a little more weapons. I feel like they have a little more of a spark. I feel like I've been saying that all season about teams, but I feel like they have a little more spark in them than the Chiefs do right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just like I said about the NFC and I'm gonna say the same thing about the AFC. This is going to be a great game. Both these teams are the best teams remaining, obviously, in the AFC. And it's not to say, oh, the Chiefs are bad. Just like I said about the Eagles. I'm not saying that they're bad, and that's why I'm not picking them. Or oh, the Bengals are bad, and I'm not picking them. Obviously, they fought and made their way to the AFC Championship, and they're here for a reason. And so I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with both of you, and we're all going to pick the Bengals here. And they proved me wrong last week, and I just think that they would probably do it again if I picked against them. So I'm going Joe Shiesty here, and the Cincinnati Bengals. They were. I'll just making sure that I had this right. Their coach said, or I think no, it was Joe Burrow, that a reporter asked him at the end of the game, how did you feel about the NFL already going ahead and selling tickets for a neutral game between the Chiefs and the Bills? And he said they're going to have to refund them. And I think that's just, a goated line just because, the Bengals ruined their plans. And so I'm just really happy to see that the Bengals are doing well from, potentially, starting off the season kind of bad and making it to where they are. And even if Joe Burrow's offensive line doesn't hold up, he's going to scramble and get out of the pocket and do his best to make plays and find his buddy Jamar Chase. So that's it. That is AFC Championship. That's NFC Championship. That's the weekend. Reo, is there any more you have to say about this weekend?
No, nothing about the weekend, man, but I did want to talk about since the since the first, few, teams that just squeaked into the playoffs are out. How do you feel about the future of the league? The teams that, you saw having a first-round bye, but they're young, they're going to be back, they're going to make it further next year. Who are you excited about for the future? I feel like I know who you're going to pick.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the Jacksonville Jaguars just because I think they have the most promise going into the next season. I feel like the Chargers have had a lot of expectations and they just haven't been meeting them. Geno Smith being on the Seahawks was, just a trade, and we'll just see how that goes. He could have another breakout year as well. Not sure Lamar Jackson's going on the Ravens. If I wasn't going to pick the Jaguars, I probably would have picked the Giants just because of what they were able to do and just, their head coach and everything like that. And, I like the Dolphins, but, Tua's got to stay healthy. So I'm going with the Jags here. Who are you going with? Who do you like?
Yeah, no, man, you picked the best two teams, I think, from both different sides. Jags, Giants. I think the Jags proved more people wrong this season, especially when they got the playoff win, especially when they were only down 7. Lawrence didn't look sad. He didn't look defeated. He looked hungry. So I feel like the Jags are a good pick for that, man. They look pretty interesting going towards the future.
And, who knows? Maybe not all these teams next year obviously make the playoffs like you would think they would because, the Rams, for example, they were supposed to, on paper, I guess, or when you look at it, oh, you're the defending Super Bowl champions. Okay, you should have the best shot of making the playoffs again. Even if you don't make the Super Bowl, at least making the playoffs. And obviously that didn't happen. So, whoever makes the Super Bowl again this year and whoever wins it, are they, you know what I'm saying? They're not guaranteed a spot in the playoffs just because they won the Super Bowl.
For sure.
So that's it, guys. That is the AFC and the NFC championship. And next week we will talk about the Super Bowl. And hopefully Beagle will be able to hop on with us because we will give our picks. And the week following that, I will add up all our records and see what we went for the playoffs, the regular season, and then our next podcast after that will more than likely be NBA because the All-Star break is coming up here soon. So with that being said, I'm out, Rio's out, Until next time.